a lot of it was through close friends that were moms and trying to understand what I was feeling. So I did have baby blues, postpartum depression for a period of time. Talked to doctors about that as well, but again, I got this really generic, you'll get over it, it's just the baby blues, you'll get over it sort of thing. And I didn't just get over it. And I never did get medication, because you can get medication, you can get a lot of things there. I didn't go that route at the time. I just really worked through it with, again, like people that I knew and trusted. That was a big issue for me, was trust. And so I just wanted to make sure, how can I get through this? Because I don't trust the staff that I was working with. And I wasn't about to go back to them again with something else that I was struggling with. I had some experience with it, not consistent, not all the time, so it was still relatively new-ish for me. But I think, again, this was part of the medical package that came with this hospital, and it's covered by your insurance, so you don't have to worry about all of that. So yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I had some exposure with working with different people over the years, but it had been a while, so it was actually quite refreshing. I think we all need it, right? Motherhood or not, I think we all could use a little therapy these days. So one thing I did different is I took longer time. For my son, I took just about 4 months, not a full 4 months. For my daughter, I decided to take 6. Probably could have did more, but I did 6, and it was good for me. So that was a game changer. Just take the time that you need, period. And then transitioning back in was a whole another animal. You're still adjusting, you're dealing with postpartum feelings and depressions and things like that. It doesn't go away, as soon as you gotta go back to work, as long as it's gone. So you have to manage that. For me, I was super transparent. I've got great coworkers, and it's just like, look, this is what it's gonna look like for a while until I get back. I'm not gonna be at every meeting. You guys have been handling it for 6 months. You don't need me at every single meeting here for a while. I was just really transparent about what work was going to look like for me, and gave people my boundaries and guidelines. And said, look, give me a couple months to get my feet back under me and get stable. And everybody was very respectful of that. So I think, again, for returning to work, let people know. You don't have to give them all your details of what you're going through if you don't want to, but at least communicate your boundaries and set some expectations. You're back, but this is what back is going to look like for a period of time. Well, when you're on at work, you've got schedules, there's organization, you're trying to keep things moving. That plays a role in terms of, I'm used to leading and orchestrating, right? And so when I think about how that translates into motherhood, right? Motherhood's messy. It's super messy. It's not always going to happen the way you planned. And there's a part of me that's a little bit of humbling as well. It's like, hey, I'm used to things happening on cue in the work environment, but you also have to stay on your feet. So in a way, motherhood's helping to coach me as a leader of how you be more responsive and adaptive when things are kind of chaotic, right? Also knowing when to say no, like, no, this isn't gonna work, whether in the professional environment, your kids, you're saying no all the time, but you've got to give yourself some grace, I think, there. And so, yeah, what I do to try to help move things along at work and keep organization and keep motivation, and also validating my team and how they feel. A lot of that translates, right? You're raising little humans, and you gotta validate big emotions all the time and practice a lot of patience. You do that in a work environment as well. So I think being a mom makes you have to be super patient and figure out how are your children responding to the way you're parenting, and watch their little behaviors naturally. It's very similar concepts, right? I think the biggest difference is the chaos. It is much more chaotic, and organization can go out the window when you're at home. Be extroverted, when I need to be, but honestly, I just want quiet, and I just want space, and I want to be alone. And that can get misinterpreted sometimes, like, why do you want to be by yourself? It's like, I want quiet. I want to watch a show, a movie, totally uninterrupted. That's all I want, So for me, it's finding places and time for quiet. And yes, I mean when I'm at home as well. It's like I just want to separate myself for a little bit to help me just relax. And it works. Works for me. Also, I love a good massage. So I got my regular appointment with getting massages. That helps. It makes me feel pampered. So I got to make time for that as well. You're doing an awesome job. You're a badass. Being a mom is not an easy feat. And we carry a lot of burdens, we carry a lot of weight, and it's okay if you have to drop it sometimes. It's okay. I think a lot of us need to hear that more than not. It's okay, and you're fine. You're doing great. Doing great. One thing I wish I knew before I was a mom. This one is called. I have to think about this a little bit. I think I would have taken it to heart a little bit more that motherhood does change you. And I think that's hard for a lot of us to internalize. Like, nah, I'm good. This is the same old me. It does change you, and I don't just mean physically, right? It changes your perspective. And I don't know if I really believe that, right? I'm like, I think I got good perspective. There's a whole different part of you that gets unlocked, and it's a really intense feeling of love for your kiddos, and your view and your outlook just changes drastically. And so I've heard that, right? But I don't think I really believed it. I wish I put a little bit more thought in, what that's going to look and feel like, which you really don't know until it happens. That's one thing. That's one thing I think about. Yeah, I would definitely consider it. I would ask a lot of questions. My experiences, I don't just trust. And I think that's probably the biggest hurdle to overcome when it comes to clinical trials. It's like, what are you trying to accomplish? How's this information going to be used? Who's going to see this? So I think just there's some skepticism. So I think my answer is yes, we have to do it. We need more of these clinical trials, more diverse clinical trials. If we don't participate, we're not helping to move the needle. So I think there's a passion now that I can respect now, that I want to help and want to get involved in it. That doesn't automatically erase the skepticism there. So for me, I would have an intense amount of questions to really, really understood what is it you need from me and how is it going to be used.